like to welcome everybody. My name is Neil Workman, and I'm current chair of 10 at the top. And if you're at the Embassy Suites and you're here for our Upstate Vision Forum, celebrating success, great things happening across the Upstate, then you're in the right room. If you're not, raise your hand, because you probably will need help. In any case, before we get kicked off, let's do a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we're delighted to have such a large crowd, and we're just delighted that you're interested in what's going on in the Upstate. What things have been happening across. But none of this would be possible without our sponsors. So at this time, I'd like to just mention our key sponsor, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Our visionary sponsor is Greenville Health System. Our supporting sponsors are Brown and Mackey College, GSP Airport, and the Rutland Institute for Ethics, Clemson University, and we thank them for their continued support, or else this would not be possible. At this time, I'd like to introduce Lincoln Levinson with Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see such a good turnout. It's also nice not to be asked to talk about healthcare reform. But the vision of the tennis top is to foster a spirit of cooperation and collaboration amongst our leaders, to foster quality growth and to enhance the quality of life in the Upstate. I'm Lincoln Levinson of Blue Cross, and we're pleased to be a premier sponsor. We're also pleased that we share in much of the same vision as 10 at the top. As the only South Carolina owned and operated insurance company, we do so much more than just provide insurance. We work with businesses to provide cost-efficient and competitive health insurance programs that allow you to retain and attract good employees, but also to make this a desirable area for business to continue to operate. We work with providers to develop protocols for the best possible outcomes so that our hospitals and doctors can continue to practice world-class medicine. We work with our members to constantly help them improve their health through education, coaching, and disease management programs. And we also provide a very safe and healthy environment for our workers. I think you may have seen recently that we were just voted as one of the top places to work in the Upstate at Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm pleased to be a premier sponsor, and also I wanted to thank you for being allowed to participate and to contribute to the vision of 10 at top.
Back then. Thank you, Lincoln. I'm Dean Hebel, Executive Director of 10 at the Top, and I am delighted that all of you are here and excited that for this program. As you all know, we do 4 of these forums, or have this year, and we last year started making this one a little bit different than the others, and I think we're going to do that again today. You know, our goal today is to have fun and to recognize some of the great things that are being done in the Upstate, celebrate some folks, milestone anniversaries, organizations that are doing great things, and then kick off and end with our real exciting announcements with the huge investment grants, community vibrancy grants that we've done. But we're going to start. I know some of you can stand up here with me and do my presentation because you've heard it 20, 30, 50 times. But we do have new people in the room who have not heard of or know much about 10 at the Top and the things that we've done. So we always want to start these forums with a very brief just overview of who we are and what we do. 10 at the Top was initially formed in 2005 as under the name Upstate Together. Some of you, of course, were part of that, and over the next 3 or 4 years, it was an ad hoc group that, as it does today, at the time said, how can we foster collaboration and partnerships across the upstate and encourage smart, thoughtful strategies and planning on issues that impact us today and as we look towards the future. And in 2009, the Upstate Reality Check event was held, which was the first real hands-on effort thinking of the Upstate as a region and that we're growing as a region. And then in 2010, I came on as the executive director, and we've been moving ever since. We have three primary objectives for the organization. The first is to build trust among leaders and residents across the 10 counties. And we do that in a number of ways, and I'll share a little about that in a minute. Second is to articulate and promote a regional vision. Again, we'll highlight that in a second. And the third is to initiate, convene, and facilitate activities that foster collaboration, coordination, and cooperation. So how do we do that, or at least one way that we do it? Well, we host a lot of events, forums, meetings, some of which are big like this, and others are specific around an issue or an event. Since I came in 2010, we have had, this is number 319 of the events and presentations and programs that we've done, and we've engaged about 18,788 participants, not that we're counting, before today. So, we hold and engage a lot of people to build that trust and that collaboration across the region. In 2013, we've actually had our busiest year so far. This is our 94th meeting, event, or program, and we're just over 3,000 participants. Now, one of the first things that was done in 2010 and 2011 was creating the Shared Upstate Growth Vision, or the regional vision that we call the Our Upstate Vision. And the thought around it was, at the time as it is today, is as we're asking people to come together and collaborate on issues that are significant to our communities, what are those issues? What are important to us? And so we spent a year asking people exactly that question. And we came up with the Our Upstate Vision focused around our family, our future, and our upstate working together today for generations to come. And the vision itself is simple but yet bold. And it is that in 2030, the 10-county upstate South Carolina region is universally recognized as one of the leading places in the United States to live, to learn, to do business, and to raise a family. We identified as part of that 5 what we call driver areas to focus on: community vibrancy, economic and entrepreneurial vitality, human potential, natural beauty and resources, and sustainable growth. And I don't know why my outlook is on. Hold on. Always a glitch, right? Technology, you can't live with it, you can't throw them out. Okay, the 5 driver areas, and we have focused on that. We've had task forces, initiatives, and things within that. And some of what we really do more than anything else is we facilitate conversations and development of initiatives. We're not necessarily the ones developing the initiatives, but we bring together folks from across the region, different stakeholders, to make sure that we are thoughtful, because there are many issues that we're working on in all our different communities, and it just makes sense if we collaborate and work together on them. And some of those are mentioned here, and a couple will be highlighted today. So, as I mentioned, this is the 4th forum that we have done this year, and the first 3 were each on an issue. We worked on, talked about workforce and skill development, then natural beauty and resources as it relates as an economic driver within the upstate, transportation and infrastructure, and then today we're celebrating successes. And so we're going to start doing that now. I'm going to call up to join me Ken Allen from Greenville Business Magazine. And last year we started this, some of you I know were here, where we said there are a lot of companies and initiatives and organizations in South Carolina, in the upstate in particular, they're celebrating anniversaries, milestones. And that was the case last year. We had almost 40 businesses and organizations that we recognized. And we said, this year we want to do it again. And we wanted to see how many we got. And I think we have 33 or 34. And so many of you recognize or represent some of those organizations. And we thought it was a unique opportunity to just bring folks together and to take a picture and just celebrate that we have organizations and initiatives that have really made the Upstate what it is today over long periods of time. And in your flyer, there is a copy of the sheet, but Ken and I are going to read these and we ask everyone who is representing one of these organizations to come up and bear with us for a second. We're going to have them all up here, we're going to sing, and then we're going to take a picture. So Ken, why don't you go ahead and we'll start. Everybody come on up and call your name.
All right. As Dean said, my name is Ken Allen, and I'm editor of Greenville Business Magazine, and it's a great pleasure to be here to celebrate with you the longevity of your businesses. We were part of it last year. Our magazine celebrated its 20th anniversary last year. So with that in mind, we're going to start with the companies that are celebrating 20 years of business. One more year and you can buy a drink and a bar. The 20-year celebrants are Friends of the Reedy River, Marchant Company, Ameriplast in North America, Centera, TC's Jewelers, and Webster University. If there are representatives from any of those, if you would come up and go over here in the corner. You don't have to wear a dunce cap. You do have to go to the corner. 25 years. Contact Incorporated, Fujifilm Greenwood, Hospice of the Upstate, Jackson Marketing Group, Spartanburg Junior League's Santa's Shop. Y'all would make your way up here, please. 30 years. That must not have been a very good year to start business. The only one we've got is the Anderson County Museum. 40 years, Davis Services, Gibbs International, S&ME, Sherman College of Chiropractic, and TPM.
Okay, 45 years, Greenville Office Supply, and Phillips Staffing. And 50 years of the Clemson Bioengineering Program and Premier Federal Credit Union. 60 years, Black's Electric Supply, and then 65 years, Paradise Home Centers, and the Junior League of Greenville's nearly new shop.
80 years, Coldwell Banker Kane and County Bank. Now we're getting into the century mark here, celebrating 100 years of doing business. Cushman and Wakefield Tallheimer, the Greenwood Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Greer Commission of Public Works. 110 years, Anderson Area Chamber of Commerce. And finally, at 125 years, think about that. Being in business for 125 years, imagine what all that company saw take place and change in our community. Brown Mackey College System, Converse College, and the Greenville Chamber of Commerce.
Great. Okay. First, let's give everybody a round of applause. I'm sure some of you have much better voices than me, but I will start. And we're going to sing, and you can put in the name of your business. We're going to sing Happy Birthday to all our birthday entries. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. Celebrate this in the milestone anniversaries. We thought it would be apropos. If you notice, it's the 125th year of the Greenville Chamber. It's the 110th year of the Anderson Chamber. 100th year of the Greenwood Chamber. Last year was, I think, the 85th year of the Greer Chamber, and there's many others. So we know that Chambers of Commerce have played a huge role, not just from a business standpoint, but also from a quality of life and community standpoint in the Upstate for many, many generations. So I've asked Ben Haskey to spend a few minutes talking about the role of the chambers in the Upstate, both in the past and as we look today and into the future. So welcome up, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. Herb Welling leaned over and said, "I didn't know you were that old." You know, it's really great to be here. It's great to see a great crowd. I'm probably the only chamber executive, certainly in South Carolina, that can say for 10 years I managed the Spartanburg Chamber of Commerce from 1985 to 1995. And in about a week, I will celebrate my 10th anniversary in Greenville. So for about 20 years, I've seen a lot of change in the upstate of South Carolina and observed a lot of what chambers of commerce have been able to accomplish in that period of time. You know, generally, I think if you define what our groups are, what chambers of commerce are, we're associations of business. I mean, that's a pretty basic sort of definition. But I think in a broader sense, while we are a private organization, while we're not for profit, we are also very public in what we do. We have a membership that we certainly care about because they're the investors in the work of our chambers, but it's the broader community that we care about too, in terms of trying to improve that quality of life and all about the communities. As a matter of fact, you know, economic development has really changed. In the 20 years that I've been associated with chambers in the upstate, at one time many of the chambers were the economic development organizations. That's changed in many of our counties now, where there are different economic development groups, but chambers are still, in my view, the product builders, if you will. We're the ones trying to improve quality of life or try to be sure the infrastructure is in place, and certainly trying to be sure that there's a business climate that will be attractive to business. And so all of those things are what we are about in terms of our work day in and day out in the business of community and economic development. I know we call out the Greenwood and Anderson and Greenville chambers, but if you are associated with those chambers, with those birthdays as a board member or a staff member, just stand for just a minute if you would. Board member, staff member, Greenwood, Anderson, Greenville chambers. Okay, thank you very much for what you do, and I know many of you have served on boards of these organizations and other chambers in the past. So what have we had impact on in some of that history? Well, I can remember when most of I-85 was a two-lane or two lanes in each direction highway. And I would suggest to you that the chambers in the upstate have worked very hard through our history to lobby for and see to it that we're able to move goods and services. That's a basic principle and need of economic development. And so much of what has happened in the upstate in terms of highway infrastructure has been lobbied by the chambers. I think about the Port of Charleston, and now Mayor Danner, the inland port at Greer, and the importance of that as an economic development tool, if you will, for the upstate of South Carolina. I don't think the percentage has changed. I still believe that 60% of what moves through the Port of Charleston originates or leaves from the upstate of South Carolina. So the port is very important, and I think through the years, all of the chambers have supported the improvements to the port in terms of expansion, and certainly in more recent times, the dredging of the port to post-Panama Canal expansion sized ships that will be calling at the Port of Charleston. As a matter of fact, some of you were with us a couple of weeks ago. We took about 60 people to Charleston. We toured Boeing and we went out and visited the port, and it's amazing to see what is happening there now, the impact of what's going to come from the inland port as that is now on stream, but as it grows in its importance to the overall port facilities. I see my good friend Dave Edwards right here. Southwest Airlines has been with us now about 2.5 years, I think. And as Dave and his team assembled the project and worked on the project, chambers of commerce across the upstate were important in what happened as the project team came and visited. The economic case was made because what we did as business organizations was really rally the business community to say, if Southwest comes, we will commit to fly Southwest with a certain percentage of our business travel. And Dave, I think it's probably common to you as it is to me now. People come up and say, you know, I wanted to fly Southwest, but they didn't have the cheapest fare. Well, that's the Southwest effect. And what has happened, and I think it's 40% of our airfare cost from prior to Southwest, we've come down that far in airfare cost because Southwest is here and all the rest of the carriers, the legacy carriers, have had to lower airfare. So we're very proud of the work that we did with Dave and his team in bringing that business side to the recruitment of Southwest Airlines. I think as I look at really the past few years, and I think going forward, one of the real important roles of the chambers are in public policy. We have been able to work with a dozen chambers in the upstate, Greenville, and 11 others that span from Anderson and Oconee, Pickens, over to Cherokee County and down to Lawrence and Greenwood, in putting together a chamber coalition to work on a legislative agenda each and every year that supports a strong business climate, is pro-business, pro-economic development. And all of these chambers are pulling together. And the difference it makes is that rather than one chamber with maybe 500 members or 1,000 members, or in our case 2,300 members, we have a dozen chambers collectively with 8,000 business members who are all working together to see to it that we speak to our legislative delegations and the legislative leadership in South Carolina about those topics that are important to us. And that ranges from an enterprise campus, Cynthia at Greenville Tech, to an angel investment bill that strengthens entrepreneurship and encourages investment in startups and growing companies. I think, this in our future is very important as we continue to work with the General Assembly on a statewide basis, not only with our own delegations, but with the entire General Assembly, so that we pass legislation that helps us continue to build our communities and our region overall as far as we go in South Carolina. So I think, when I got into this work 40 years ago, I said, I think there's always going to be a reason for a Chamber of Commerce. And 40 years later, I still think that. I think there's always going to be opportunities for our chambers and our communities to be the convener, to bring the business and many times public leadership together so that we're solving problems, so that we're going after opportunities and working together. And I think the chambers are working together well. I think the Upstate Chamber Coalition is a good model of regional collaboration, certainly something that Ken at the top wants to see encouraged and prosper in the future. So Dean, thanks for the opportunity to be here, and thanks to all of you for being here too.
Okay, thank you so much, Ben. We started last year with, while we have this opportunity in celebrating successes, we wanted to celebrate some folks who are important and have been helpful to the success and of 10 at the top. And that, of course, are the folks who are our funding partners. And like every other organization, without your funding partners, you're going to have a hard time surviving. And we've been very fortunate. Last year, we recognized, when we started in 2010, we asked folks for a 3-year commitment and for funding support. And last year, we celebrated what we called our founding funding partners. We had about 35 to 40, and many of you in the room were part of that. This year, we said, you know what, every year, it may not be 35 or 40, but we want to recognize those businesses and organizations and individuals that have recognized the value of supporting Tenafly over a long period of time, over a 3-year commitment. So this year, in your program, you see we have 8 individuals or organizations that we're recognizing, and each one we have a special gift that we have for them. We'll call them up in a minute, but Neil's going to talk a little bit about that gift and about the importance of our funding partners.
You know, all of us that have been doing public type volunteer work for years, we've all received all types of awards and things to hang on the wall and plaques to put here and glass things to put there. But we tried to come up with something that we felt would be rather unique and expressive. So in thinking about it last year, we chose to ask Christine Tedesco. Chris, would you stand up? Chris is an architect. She owns RSCT Architects in Clemson, but she's also a textile artist. And she has experimented with silks for most of her career, but she's experimented with batiks now. And one of the most unique things about this is each one of these squares she's made, and each one is different, which reflects our communities. All of our businesses and funding partners are quite different. Communities we live in are different. And yet, when we come together, it helps make something entirely different. And so we thought this would be a very unique way to leave something that's different than all the other things you've gotten, just in memory of your time with us, and hope that you will continue to be supportive, and thank you for what you do. If you come forward as Dean calls your name.
We have a couple different examples of things here. It is so beautiful. And I know not everyone is here, but a number of them are. Sea Level Systems, Tom O'Hanlon is here. World Acceptance Corporation, Carol Burdett, Johnson Development, Lawrence Electric, Nate Lipscomb, Rick Quinn, and Cinex Corporation. And if representatives from, I know from 2 or 3 of those are here.
We're not going to tell you which one has what in it, just pick one. And I imagine you're cheating by the sack. That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things we started last year was a special award recognizing an individual or an organization that has really fostered that spirit of collaboration. And there was no one you could have recognized or engaged more than the person who we ultimately, as a board, decided to name the award after, and that was Irv Welling. Irv was the first chair of Ten at the Top and served in that capacity for a number of years, and still is instrumental to the organization. And last year, the first year of the Welling Award, we gave that award to Erwin Madry, who has been tremendous in his support, not just of Ten at the Top, but of organizations across the Upstate. And I'm going to introduce Irv to announce our winner for 2013.
Thank you, Dean. This award is given, not necessarily annually, but it is given to recognize folks who've had a sustained and strategic type impact on bringing the Upstate together, having regional cooperation and fostering trust amongst each other. There's a reason that our mission is to foster and develop trust and collaboration. And the reason is that when we do that, we are much stronger coming together. And our honoree this year is a prime example of that, just by what they do, as well as the way they do it. So I'd like to get Dave Edwards up to give this award. Airport and the GSP Airport Commission, and thank you for everything that you mean to the Upstate.
Thank you so much. It's a great honor on behalf of the staff of the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport District and the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport Commission to accept this award. We truly believe that without the cooperation that we received several years ago that Ben Haskell so articulately talked about when the chambers came together, this entire community came together to support the recruitment of Southwest Airlines for the Upstate. And I think it just goes to show when we put some of our things aside and we pull together, we can achieve great things. I think we've seen that recently with the inland port here in the Upstate and moving forward in that regard. And I just know there's a lot more to come in the future. So again, I want to thank you very much, Irv. This is a great honor on behalf of Greenville-Spartanburg Airport District to be able to accept this award, and we truly appreciate it. Thank you.